It was the same alternative part of town where it all sure itself originated in a small back alley.
Pause it. Turn off the console. Disconnect. There we go. I will see you in the morning. See you then. Another day. Let's go chill somewhere for the day. There we go. You guys will find out what I did once it happens. I'm not going to tell you. Yo. So, here. This park here. Here we are. Press play.
We were still a good 10 minutes away when Sandra
I'm
stared
born
at her
for
radar
day.
with wide eyes. What? I asked, turning to her. It's gone. Shit, you mean the fucker left the area and is moving on? No, she said, shaking her head. It just vanished. She frowned, staring at the radar. What the hell? How is that possible? Can those things hide their signal? Sandra shook her head. No, once we pinpoint and find them, there's no way they can slip away. The only possibility is that the thing's dead. What you're saying is someone took it down before us. Did headquarters send support after all? No, they'd have informed us about it. I remembered my very first run-in with a creature. What if it was a civilian? I suggested. Hell, if it was, they might still be alive. Could be, she reasoned. Let's hurry. With that, we continued on. When we arrived at the small back alley, Sandra didn't need to hit her radar anymore. The place was a massacre. The creature's body had been torn apart. Hell, it had been dismantled. Then my gaze wandered around and I noticed something further down the alley. Another body. A person. I walked over and leaned down at what might have once been a human being. From the dirty clothes and blankets, it was clear that the man had been homeless. I think this might have been the guy who... I started. No, look at the state the body's in.
3, 2, 1,
With
action.
wounds like that, there's no way he could have put up a fight. What about the creature? I asked, pointing back at it. Most likely a beast type, but it's hard to tell. From the size and the signature I saw before, I'd assume it was C-class. You're telling me someone out there is able to take down a C-class all by himself and get away? Either that, or we've got something else on our hands. Like what?
A
Cannibal
god.
type. They feed on their own to become bigger themselves. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Something like that exists?
Oh, cannibal.
Sandra nodded. So if something like that's out there, then how come we've gotten no hit on it? Shouldn't we have gotten 2 signatures? Sandra was quiet for a while and didn't say anything. I'm not sure, Dylan. The creature might have been able to avoid detection until now by pure luck. Yeah, but if it was out here and took care of this one, then... Look, Dylan, I don't know, alright? I sighed before I nodded. Shit, we were both way too exhausted and way too on edge. Yeah, I got you. So what do we do now? Sandra shrugged, hit a few of her scanners, and sent out some of her surveillance drones. Ultimately, though, we found nothing. In the end, we packed up and went on our way home. The next day started exactly the same, with a new signature. Altogether, it was only 2, allowing us a brief rest during the hours of late afternoon. The sun had barely set when we headed out to the same alternative area of town. It was yet another signature, one in the area's biggest park. The moment we made it there, my thoughts returned to the swarm type I'd handled a couple weeks ago. What have you got, Sandra? I asked, praying it wasn't another one of those. Humanoid. Seems to be C-class. As we hurried through the park, the gun was already in my hand. I noticed the fucker right away. What might have once looked like a human being was now something different. The creature's body had twisted around itself. Legs had grown to twice their size, and multiple appendages sprouted from the body. The head hung sideways, and even from this distance I could see its gaping black maw. Right at that moment I noticed a person. A guy was standing nearby, only a few meters away from this creature. Get away from there, I called out, but I already knew it was too late for the poor soul. I pulled the trigger twice, but I was still too far away to get a clear shot. A moment later, the creature rushed forward and threw itself at the unsuspecting bystander and tore him apart. At least, that's what I saw happening in my mind's eye. When I heard flesh tearing and bones snapping, my steps slowed. My jaw dropped when I saw this normal person tear the creature's arm clean off. The thing stumbled back before it growled and attacked once more. The guy dodged the attack again and then counterattacked himself. He plunged forward, his fists connected with the shapeshifter's body, and it was thrown off its feet. It tried to get up, but it was too late. The guy rammed his hand into the creature's body. Blood gushed forward, and the thing began screeching as he tore it apart. He twisted and tore off its appendages one by one before he beat the creature's body to a bloody pulp. Holy shit, I stammered, pointing my gun at the guy.
No, that's a guy, pal.
Guess we found our cannibal, right? You think we're able to take the fucker down? Sandra started, but trailed off, staring at her radar.
No, you wouldn't.
I didn't wait. We couldn't let this fucker get away. If he was some sort of cannibalistic organism, and if he was going to grow even stronger, we'd be in even bigger trouble than we already were. As I stormed forward, I saw him grin. When I pressed the trigger, he threw himself sideways and dodged my shot. Shit, the fucker was fast. For a moment, I saw him still next to the shapeshifter's remains, and in the next, he was gone, and then he was right in front of me. I pointed the gun at him point blank and was about to fire, but he batted my hand aside with such force the gun clattered away. I tried to reach for the combat knife, but I felt my hand closing around my neck. He lifted me from the ground with a grip as hard as steel. I saw his eyes and saw the same grin. Then a blast wave crashed into him. The air crackled around me. I felt my hair stand up, and I saw the guy's body a couple of meters ahead of me. He was on the ground, barely able to move.
That's what I would do.
I scrambled for my gun, got it, and was about to fire again when Sandra stepped in front of me.
Then join the team.
What the hell are you?
Because I mean,
it's
not
one of those things. There's no signature.
After all,
he's a human being. Yeah, no shit. He spat at us. Who the fuck are you guys, anyways? We're with the police, Sandra explained. We were sent here to handle the situation and take out that creature over there. It seems though you've been able to handle the situation before we could. The guy got back to his feet. His grin was still there, but it was tainted by blood. He staggered for a moment, spat some bloody froth from his mouth, and sank down on a bench nearby. Alright, question time, I started. Have you been in contact with other similar creatures these past days? What's to you, asshole? Plan on shooting me for taking over your job? I sighed and put the gun away.
It's a human. Matter of fact, we couldn't.
No, all good.
You can tell he's good.
We just want to talk.
So we couldn't.
Right, Sandra? She nodded, but still held the radar in her hand. Like I said, he's human. Yeah, no shit, bitch. I could see Sandra's face change to anger. Oh, this wasn't good. Now that I got a closer look, though, I saw his disheveled look, the dirt on his clothes, and the old torn backpack he'd thrown down next to himself. You a bum or something?
Bum.
Got a problem with that? He asked while he rummaged through his backpack. After a while, he found what he'd been looking for. It was a syringe. Without another word, he rammed it into his arm. Fucking hell. I cursed as he pushed the contents into his vein. He leaned back, inhaling, but began cursing after mere seconds and threw the syringe into the dark of the night. Fucking hell, shit's not working.
So it's a
Kill a
junkie.
damn thing.
I mean, no wonder.
What do you mean? Sandra asked.
Human junkies
Doesn't
are
matter
powerful.
what I use, he cursed. Booze, cigs, even the stronger stuff. Nothing works.
Junkies
Just
are...
want to score some fucking high, but I can't feel a damn thing. Alright, when did this start?
No wonder.
Sandra asked, alarmed. The hell do you want, you freaking bitch?
That this
He
brain
broke off in
wave
an instant and I
powerful.
saw him cower.
So I mean,
What the fuck are you?
normally, humans are
Now
not
listen,
that powerful.
this is just a small sample of what I can do. And I can do much, much more. So how about you answer my questions? Fucking hell. He spat, but for the first time, that annoying grin had left his face. I don't know when this shit started. A week or two ago. I had all those crazy dreams and nightmares I felt like I was fucking delirious. What were they about? Don't remember shit. It was all scrambled up. Old memories, people, faces. Even had some crazy nightmare about a barren wasteland. And some upside-down hellscape. Shit was crazy. When he said this, I looked up and was about to say something, but Sandra motioned for me to let him continue. When I woke up, I've had these crazy hallucinations. As if the world was melting all around me. Must have lain in the gutter for days. I'd score some nasty shit, but I didn't remember buying any. I didn't even have the money. But guess what? A day later, and I'm good as new, and the only thing I've got to show for this little adventure is this disgusting scar here. With that, he lifted his shirt to show us a small gash on his chest that had already healed. Sandra's eyes grew wide when she saw it, and she turned to me. I've only read about it in the archives, but I've heard stories about something like that. What stories? Theories, mostly. She started while tinkering with another one of her gadgets. If I'm right, though, then... Right about what? I cut her off. That scar looks like a wound caused by a parasite type. However, there are theories stating that certain human bodies can sync with them. Well, sync isn't the right word. A better word's absorb. There have been cases in which a parasite entered a human body, mutated, and changed before being fought off by the body's immune system. Something like that's possible? I've only ever heard of a handful of cases, but if a parasite entered his... Alright, what the fuck are you assholes talking about? I've got no freaking parasites in my body. Sandra turned back to the guy with a sour look on her face. Just stay calm, alright? Sure thing, babe. She held the gadget against his body and stared at the visuals it was showing her. From what I can see here, there are certain anomalies within the body, caused by mutation and restructuring. There's no hint of any outside influence, however, meaning the parasite must have been rendered useless after altering his body. From looking at the data and from what we've seen before, his physical prowess is far above that of a normal human being. You know, if you want to see what I'm capable of, bitch tits, how about around in the bushes over there? He joked, giving Sandra a little wink. I saw the frown on her forehead, saw it growing deeper and deeper before anger replaced it. Oh shit, dude, now you done it. He gave me a questioning look before he was thrown off the bench and landed a couple of meters behind it. For a moment, Sandra stared at the body before she turned back to me. He's out for a while. I could see a bit of blood running from her nose, but she quickly wiped it away. Holy shit, you're bleeding. Are you sure you didn't kill him? Yes. I knocked him out, but this isn't enough to kill him. That parasite he was infested with, it was at like C-class, probably higher. So what do you want to do with him? You said he's human, right? I can't just go and... No, but with things as they are, we might be able to use him. What? Are you crazy? We don't even know if we can trust him. Sandra gave me a cold, hard look.
Easy. Put in a collar,
Get him to
a
the
bomb
apartment.
collar, and
We've got
make
some
him do
contraptions that
whatever
should
you
render his
say
body
and
useless and
bomb.
ready for interrogation.
If he doesn't,
If he turns out to be uncooperative, we can still inform headquarters. Or we take care of the problem ourselves. I stared at her face and the cold, hard look on it. For the first time in days, I remembered who I was talking to. I'd grown to know her a bit, grown compassionate about her, but this woman was a cold, hard professional, more so than I was. Yeah, sure thing, I said in a low voice and holstered the guy up. Sandra took this thing the whole 9 yards. After we'd returned to the apartment, our unsuspecting guest was still knocked out. To be honest, I wondered if he'd ever wake up again. While Sandra searched through the storage room, I followed her instructions and bound the guy to the bed. She was back soon and injected him with some sort of strange, yellowish liquid. What the hell was that? I asked while our guest began stirring. Something to keep him in line. It's a muscle relaxant, she said with a simple shrug. What the fuck? Where the fuck am I? The fuck did you do to me? He cursed and tried to push himself up, but couldn't even move his arms. A simple sedative. You won't be able to do anything for quite a while, Sandra said with a little grin. You friggin' bitch. Who the fuck do you think you are? The moment I'm up, I'm gonna... He broke off, cringing in pain, and I saw Sandra holding up her hand. No, I don't think you will. So how about we all calm down and you listen? When the pain of Sandra's attack left him, the guy nodded. I would like to make you an offer. Seeing that you were proficient enough to kill multiple creatures all by yourself, we'd like to ask your help, should more of them show up. The guy laughed a little. Right. Why the hell would I do that? Sandra stepped forward again and I saw his eyes widen. He closed his mouth instantly.
since he's a junkie, give
I
him more
sighed.
drugs.
This was going really fucking well.
Give him what he wanted.
Accommodation. We can offer you to stay here with us. We'll take care of all of your expenses. I cut in. And for that, you expect me to risk my life? I nodded. You're crazy, man, he said, laughing. I stared at him, scanned his face, and thought back to how he grinned when he tore that shapeshifter into pieces. No, I'm not. I can see it in your eyes. You enjoyed fighting them, right? No, that's not it. Killing them was enjoyable. You're the same as me. You've got your reasons for going out there. He gave me a long look. For a second, other emotions appeared on his face. Pain and sadness. Yet the same hungry grin
Introduce
quickly
yourself,
replaced them.
Sissy. Sure.
It's not like I got
name is
anything else going on at the moment. This shithole here might be better than sleeping out on the streets.
Josie, and I
You know,
am
man, you got one thing right.
13
I got my reason
years
for hunting
old.
them down.
I'm
What
a
is it?
half demon, half angel.
I guess I just like destroying things. As I stood there, I stared down at this disheveled
I am
asshole with his
his
wide eyes and that damn
daughter.
grin.
Sure, sister.
I knew what he was.
Yeah, technically.
Freaking
'Cause I
psycho.
did main you. I did main.
Fuck monsters and fuck
You know,
psychopaths.
These are a few
Well,
of my
you know, the
favorite
usual.
things.
Yeah, I do. He's a born in the smoke.
Things started out easy enough after we'd conscripted our new friend
Well, we can
Theodore.
what now?
While he was still under the effect of Sandra's sedatives, I set out for a quick check on a few areas of my own. The night, however, was quiet. I encountered a few more of the weird little puppets in an abandoned building, but that was about it. It was only a handful, and their efforts were half-assed. Just thinking about it made me shiver. It felt wrong. When I made it back, Sandra had already hit up headquarters and explained the situation to them. In the end, headquarters made an exception. At least for now. Normally, an organism such as Theodore would be sent over to them for studying. Given our current situation, however, they allowed Sandra to use him as she saw fit. Frickin' headquarters. At that moment, I couldn't help but feel sorry for the guy.
Don't.
The next day, we set out on our very first little hunt together. Sandra made one thing clear right from the
What
start.
if he doesn't mind?
One wrong move and the guy was in serious trouble.
What if
All he gave her for
If
an
he
answer was
kills
another one
you
of his
like it.
crazed grins.
that's all he cares
But
about?
I could see the slightest twitch in the corners of his mouth. It didn't make me feel relieved, but I wasn't as on edge as I'd been
If
before.
I was him, I would like it.
Still, our new friend is fucking crazy. Well, I knew that already, but I'm glad he's here, because he's a great help. On the other hand, he's a total loose cannon. If not for Sandra, I'm sure he'd have gone on a rampage a long time ago. Or let's say, sooner. What makes things even worse is that the fucker just shrugged when I offered him a gun and protective armor. "Nah, man, I'm good," he'd said and gotten himself one of the combat knives. "I prefer to get my hands dirty," he added with a little grin. Isn't that great? First a frickin' mentalist, now a psychopath. What a great team I've got here. The first couple of days went fine, at least when compared with what followed. As I said, Theodore is crazy. If you thought I was reckless, you haven't seen this guy. With Sandra around, I'd grown more careful, listened to her, and tried my best not to fuck things up as often. This guy? He's the complete opposite. The moment he heard a creature was nearby, he barged right into its hiding place and tore the fucker apart. Seeing him take down D-class organisms is like watching a cat toy with a mouse. Hell, on the third day, he went up against a C-class like it was nothing. Sure, I'd seen him at the park, but that was against a humanoid type. But that day he was going head-to-head with a beast type twice his size. I was sure the dude was finished when he took the thing's charge head-on. I heard bones break, saw him spit blood, but all he did was grin before he retaliated. And the worst? He was laughing the entire time. The dude was having fun, not only fucking up that creature, but his own body as well. "At least it makes me feel something," he said once things were over, staring at his busted arm. Sandra didn't like it one bit. While Theodore was still checking his injury, Sandra twisted his arm upwards with her powers, making him feel more than just something. "Sandra, what are you... He's too reckless," she screamed at me. "And you," she said while giving Theodore's arm another twist. "We brought you along so you could support us, not to go wild. With an injury like that, you're useless to us." What can I say? She had a point. Third fucking day on the job, and he was pretty much out. But you know what happened? After Sandra let him off, he twisted the bone back in place and bandaged it up without so much as saying a single word. "Don't sweat it. It'll be as good as new in no time." I just watched as the two of them stared at each other. Sandra was furious, and this crazy asshole thought it was the funniest thing in the world. The next day, though, I found his bloodied, stinking bandages discarded on the floor. When I asked him what was going on, he showed me his arm. Apart from some scar tissue and a slight bruise, nothing was wrong with it. You know what? Fuck this guy. Really fuck him. Why the hell did I even bother to go out anymore with freaks like him around? I didn't get to sulk for long. Sandra's alarm notified us of a new signature. This one, however, like most we'd handled these past days, was transferred to us via headquarters. It was supposedly a humanoid type, most likely C-class. Ever since Theodore had joined our merry band, there'd been no hint of any puppets and no emerging signatures. So what about those puppets?
They're probably
I asked
afraid
Sandra
of
while I
him.
studied the signature data. Do you think they're just gone?
Because they're
Let's
weak.
hope so, but I don't think it's the case. I've got a bad feeling about this, Dylan. A very bad feeling. I nodded. Shit, I knew what she meant, and I didn't like it one bit. Getting ready had been annoying enough with Sandra waiting for me in the hallway. Now two freaks of nature were out there, wondering why I bothered with guns, grenades, and hell frickin' protective armor. God, this entire job had turned from annoying to total fucking bullshit. As we set out, Sandra told us that today's signature was located
They're
in my
not
city's
freaks.
very own little welfare town. It was
Humans
the
like
remnant
you
of a
don't
old,
deserve
forgotten
to
urban development project. It comprised nothing but run-down tower blocks and half-abandoned buildings. Basically the type of neighborhood you'd avoid like the plague. The moment we made our way past the first ramshackle buildings, we noticed the stairs. Disgruntled faces and mumbled curses told us we weren't welcome here. I also noticed that some guys were ogling Sandra a bit too much. I couldn't help but feel tense, but Sandra was her usual self and didn't give them any notice. Well, what do you know? Feels just like home. Theodore next to me joked. Should have been known you've been hanging around places like this. He shrugged. Been there, done that, you know.
So we're doing a fucking.
No, I don't. I grumbled. Sandra pointed to one of the tower
At the
blocks
beach.
ahead. It looked as if it could come crashing down at any moment, and I was sure it was abandoned. Yet, when I gave it a closer look, I could see curtains in some windows. Here and there.
Come on, sis. Follow me. The fuck? Put you over here. There we go. Not that way. My house. This way. Yellow. Keep up.
Oh well.
Yeet. Did I go too far from my house? How can I even forget what my house is? Well, no worries. The city is small. So, talking about my house, there it is. And the beach is that way. So what I have to do is cut through here, then at the beach. And there is no one at the beach. That's a good sign. Let's show his this.
Don't bother.
Press play.
People were leaning out of them, staring at the general misery surrounding them. Freaking hell, people live in there? Beggars can't be choosers. Theodore answered with a shrug, but for the first time his face was somber.
Oh well.
Sad even.
Cool.
This shit sucks. I agreed after a few moments. He gave me a curious look, but Sandra cut our conversation short. Let's go, she said and waved us towards the building's entrance. The door stood ajar, barely holding on to its hinges. The moment we entered, a few figures scrambled away, retreating to wherever they'd come from. I was about to pull out my gun, but Sandra shook her head. Instead, she pointed upward. It's up there. 8th
The
floor.
smoke. Then we'll
With that, we made our way down the hallway. It was littered with trash, and at least half the apartments were abandoned. We reached an old elevator. The rusty doors and the general condition of the building made me opt against it. I'm not going to die in some freaking elevator accident. I cursed and walked towards the stairs. Sandra and Theodore reluctantly followed me. On the 4th floor, I came to regret my decision. Climbing 8 flights of stairs is hell, especially when you're wearing a suit of protective armor and carrying multiple weapons and God knows what else. Oh shit, hold on. Freaking stairs are killing me. I cursed. Theodore stopped and gave me a probing look. You know, a couple weeks ago I'd be the same as you, even without all that shit you're wearing. Right now, though, I don't feel a damn thing. I could do this all day. Yeah, well, thanks for that, asshole. He grinned at me. Can't believe I threw myself into the cynic shit for years. Living out on the streets like Diogenes. Should have read Nietzsche since I feel like I'm becoming the freaking Ubermensch. The fuck are you talking about now? Philosophy. Sandra chimed in from the flight above us. Diogenes, Theodore explained. Living the streets like a dog, not owning a damn thing. As I heaved myself up, I couldn't help but laugh. That seems to fit just right. For a second, he glared at me before he shrugged. Yeah, this guy was a dog. A rabid one. He was already grinning and his hands were opening and closing in anticipation. He couldn't wait to go in and kill. The moment we reached the 8th floor, Sandra pointed to an apartment to our right. It was the only closed door. The rest of the floor was barren. Let me handle the door, Sandra whispered before she rang the bell. You guys hide nearby. When the door opened, a fat guy in sweaty clothes pushed his head out. Who the fuck are you? Hey there, Sandra said in a voice as sweet as honey. A friend of mine told me that things up here can be interesting. For a moment, a puzzled look showed on the guy's face before his eyes wandered over Sandra's body. They turned hungry instantly as they went to her chest and then lower. It took almost a half a minute before he looked into her eyes again. Oh, sweetheart, why don't you come in then? Angry yelling originated from inside when he held the door open for her. It was cut off the moment Sandra stepped inside. The fat guy was about to close the door again when I pushed my foot in. Who the fuck are you? He cursed. Theodore ripped the door open, prompting a pained curse from the guy. Hey, you dumb bitch, you lied to me, he screamed at Sandra. The moment we entered, I saw a group of 4 other guys inside. They were all sitting on propped-up camping chairs around a table, on which innumerable bottles of cheap liquor stood. All of them jumped to their feet, screaming at us. All except one.
Really?
He eyed us curiously as he watched the situation unfold.
Push it. Let's do it. Here.
Go here.
Yeah. Well, I will see you in the morning. Now, don't mind me. Get out of here.